Let me tell you what is actually happening right now while you are reading your morning briefing. Somewhere in your sector, possibly someone you have met at a conference, possibly someone you have never heard of, a business leader got up this morning, opened their laptop, and handed three of their most complex operational problems to an AI agent. Not to experiment, not to pilot, to get them solved before 9 a.m. And while you are reading reports that are 3 weeks old, making decisions on information that passed through four people before it reached you, running a business structure that was designed when information was scarce and humans were the only way to process it, that leader is already operating in a different world. Not because they are smarter than you, not because they have a bigger budget, not because they got lucky with their technology choices, because they made one decision that most leaders have not made yet. They decided that this was theirs to lead, personally, now, without waiting for the perfect moment that is never going to arrive. Welcome to AI for the Boardroom. I'm your host, RFD Ray. Go to aifortheboardroom.com right now. Everything on this show lives there. Free, built for leaders who want to move. Go bookmark it and come back. Here's the truth that most AI conversations are too polite to say out loud. Claude is available to you. Gemini is available to you. ChatGPT is available to you. Every tool, every model, every capability that is transforming how the fastest moving businesses in the world operate. Available today on your existing subscriptions right now. So why is nothing changing? Boston Consulting Group asked that question this year in the most comprehensive survey of CEO AI behavior ever conducted. 2,360 executives, 640 CEOs, 16 markets, 9 industries. The finding was stark. Nearly 3/4 of CEOs, 72%, say they are their organization's main decision maker on AI. That number has doubled in 12 months. 12 months ago, it was 36%. Today, it is 72%. The accountability has moved to the top of the house. Good. That is exactly where it belongs. But here's the number that should make every CEO stop and think. Half of those same leaders believe their job is on the line if AI does not pay off this year. Not eventually, this year. And 4 out of 5 are more optimistic about the return on AI investment than they were a year ago. 90% believe AI agents will produce measurable returns for their business in 2026. The conviction is there. The belief is there. The accountability is there. And yet, Grant Thornton surveyed 950 business leaders across 10 industries earlier this year. 78% lack strong confidence they could pass an independent AI governance audit in 90 days. Only 22% of operations leaders are working with a fully developed and implemented AI strategy. The tools are available. The stakes are personal. The belief is genuine. And most organizations are still not moving. That is not a technology problem. It is a leadership problem. And leadership problems have exactly one solution. A leader who decides to lead. That leader is you, or it needs to be, today. I want to push back on something before we go further, because I think there is a version of this conversation that leaders have with themselves that sounds responsible and is actually paralysis dressed up as prudence. It goes like this. We are monitoring the space. We have some pilots running. We have asked IT to look into it. We will move properly when the technology matures and the risk picture is clearer. Every word of that sounds measured. Every word of it is a reason to stay still, dressed up as a strategy. And while you are staying still, the leader I described at the start of this episode is not. BCG found that the organizations generating real returns from AI, the ones they call trailblazers, are not running more pilots than everyone else. They are not spending more on tools. They are not hiring more AI specialists. Trailblazer CEOs spend more than 8 hours per week on their own AI upskilling. They invest twice as much as their counterparts in building capability across their organizations. And the single defining characteristic of every trailblazing organization is a CEO who is personally in the work, not sponsoring it, not reviewing quarterly updates, in it, making calls, learning fast, scaling what works. And the organizations generating almost nothing, the followers, the pragmatists, all share one characteristic. A CEO who delegated the strategy and waited for a report. Grant Thornton was blunt about what that produces. Agents scaling without anyone accountable for what they produce. No shared data standards, no traceable decision structure, AI everywhere, and leadership nowhere. And when something goes wrong, when the AI makes a bad call, when a regulator asks how a decision was made, when a customer demands to know who is responsible, the answer cannot be the algorithm. It has to be a person. And in most organizations, that person is the CEO. So let us talk about what it actually looks like when a CEO decides to lead this. Not theoretically, specifically, because I think one of the reasons most leaders are not moving is that nobody has given them a clear enough picture of what the first move actually is. We have built a framework for exactly this. We call it AFTBR, 6 steps that spell out AI for the boardroom: acknowledge, initiate, function, timeline, build, review. And I want to walk you through each one, not as a process to hand to someone else, but as a sequence of decisions that only you can make. The first decision is to acknowledge. Not publicly, not in a board presentation, privately, honestly. In the quiet moment before the day starts, when you can hear yourself think. Acknowledge that the threat is real, and it is not waiting for you to feel ready. The businesses learning to work with AI agents right now are building operational knowledge that compounds every single week. 6 months of learning ahead of you is 6 months of advantage you cannot buy back. You can only close it by doing the learning yourself. And every week you are not learning, the gap widens. Acknowledge that your business structure was built for a world that no longer exists. Every reporting line, every job description, every workflow in your organization was designed around the assumption that humans were the only reliable way to process information and move decisions forward. That assumption is wrong for the majority of structured, recurring work happening in your business right now. And a structure built on a wrong assumption does not improve with better people. It just fails more expensively. And acknowledge that nobody else can change this. Not IT, not a consultant, not a chief AI officer. You. The World Economic Forum was clear about this earlier this year. The hard part of AI in 2026 is no longer execution. It is orchestration. Rethinking how work and decisions and accountability flow across humans and agents. That is not a technology question. That is a leadership question, and it has your name on it. That acknowledgement, honest, private, and without qualification, is where every successful AI transformation begins. Not with a tool, not with a strategy document, with a CEO who has looked at the data and decided to own what comes next. The second decision is to initiate. Here's what I want you to feel for a moment. The difference between the leader who says, I should probably do something about this, and the leader who says, I am doing something about this starting Monday. That gap between should and am is the most expensive gap in business right now. The conviction is there. 72% of CEOs own this decision. Half have their career riding on it. 4 out of 5 believe the returns are coming. What is missing is the moment where conviction becomes commitment. Initiation is that moment. It is not a strategy document. It is not a project kickoff meeting. It is a conversation, this week, with your leadership team, where you say clearly and without qualification, I am taking personal ownership of this. I'm not delegating it. I'm not reviewing it from a distance. I am in it, and we are starting now. That conversation changes the energy of your entire organization overnight, because your people are watching. They are waiting to see if you mean it. And the moment you demonstrate that you do, that this has your personal attention and your personal accountability, the whole organization leans forward. The third decision is to identify your function. This is where most leaders try to do too much and end up doing nothing. They commission organization-wide strategies. They run 5 pilots simultaneously. They build steering committees that meet monthly and produce slide decks that nobody acts on. 6 months later, they have a very impressive set of recommendations and almost nothing running. One function. That is the rule. One function. The one in your business where the most structured, repetitive, rule-based work is happening right now. Finance, compliance, operations, legal review, sales intelligence, customer operations. The one where your best people are spending the most time doing work that does not require their best thinking. For most businesses, the answer is obvious once you ask the question honestly. It is the function that produces the most frustration. The one where your best people are doing the most mechanical work. The one where if someone told you there was a way to get that output in half the time at half the cost, you would not hesitate for a second. Pick it, write it down, one sentence, one function. That single choice, made decisively, without committees and without further analysis, is the move that separates the leaders who transform from the leaders who deliberate. The fourth decision is to set the timeline. 6 weeks, not 6 months, not a quarter. 6 weeks, a specific start date and a specific review date, both in your calendar before you sleep tonight. 6 weeks is short enough that urgency stays real, long enough to produce something worth learning from, and fixed enough that it cannot be quietly extended when competing priorities arrive. And they will arrive. They always do. The timeline is what keeps this from becoming another initiative that everyone vaguely remembers discussing at some point last year. The enemy of action is ambiguity, and most AI initiatives die in the gap between the decision to act and the moment when something real starts happening. That gap gets filled with planning and governance reviews and tool evaluations and stakeholder alignment sessions. Months pass, momentum disappears. A fixed 6-week timeline is the thing that closes that gap before it opens. Set the date, today. That is the decision. The fifth decision is to build the team. Not AI specialists, not data scientists. 2 or 3 people already inside your organization who meet 3 criteria. First, they know the function you have chosen from the inside. They understand how it works, where the friction is, and what good output looks like. Second, they are curious. They are already experimenting with AI tools on their own time, asking questions nobody else is asking, looking for better ways to do things. Third, they have the confidence to challenge how things are currently done without needing to be told it is acceptable to do so. You know who they are. Every organization has them. The person who is already experimenting quietly on their own time. The person who asks the questions nobody else is asking. The person who would redesign the whole function tomorrow if someone gave them permission to try. Give them permission. Give them access to Claude, to ChatGPT, to Gemini, whichever fits the workflow. Give them a small ring-fence budget, and give them a design brief, not a training brief. The brief is this. Spend 6 weeks designing what this function looks like if we build it from scratch with AI agents at the center. Not how we add AI to what we do today. What it looks like if we start from zero. Come back with a working prototype and a comparison against how we do it now. And then stay close, not to manage, to learn. Because the knowledge you build by being close to this prototype, understanding where the agents perform brilliantly, where they need human judgment, where the design works and where it breaks, that knowledge is more valuable than any consultant report. It is the operational knowledge of how AI actually works inside your specific business, and it is the foundation everything else gets built on. The sixth and final decision is to review, and mean it. 6 weeks later, you sit down with the team. Not for a presentation, for a real conversation. 2 questions. What did the agents handle well, and where did you need to stay in the loop? The answers to those 2 questions are the most valuable piece of business intelligence your organization has produced this year. Because they are real. They are from your data, your workflows, your context. Not theoretical, not a vendor case study. Yours. Grant Thornton found that organizations with fully integrated AI are nearly 4 times more likely to report revenue growth than those still piloting. 58% versus 15%. The difference is not the technology. It is what happens in the review moment. The leaders who take the evidence seriously and make a real call, scale what works, stop what does not, start the next function. Those are the organizations pulling ahead. The ones who take it back to committee are the ones who stay in the pilot phase forever. You're not in the pilot phase forever business. You are in the winning business. So here's exactly where I want to leave you. Claude is available. Gemini is available. ChatGPT is available. The tools that are transforming how the fastest moving organizations in the world operate are sitting on your desktop right now. 72% of CEOs own this decision. Half of them have their career riding on it. 90% believe AI agents will produce measurable returns this year. The conviction is there, the belief is there, the tools are there. What is not there yet in most organizations is a CEO who has looked at all of that and said, enough. We are moving. I am leading this. We start Monday. That is the one thing your board is missing, not the technology. You deciding to go. And here's what I know about the leaders who make that decision. They do not look back. They look at the organizations that waited, and they cannot understand why it took them so long to start. Because once you are in it, once you are learning alongside your team, watching the prototype produce outputs that should have been possible years ago, seeing what becomes possible when AI handles the mechanical layer and your best people focus on the thinking, the only question is, where do we go next? That world is available to you, right now, this week. The full AI FTBR framework, every step, every question, every template, is available as a free case study at aifortheboardroom.com. Go there now, download it, use it. Share it with your leadership team today. That is aifortheboardroom.com. Hit follow on Spotify. New episodes every week. Share this today with one person in your organization who needs to hear it. I am RFD Ray. Acknowledge, initiate function, timeline, build, review. 6 steps, 1 leader. Starting now.